This is Zach here at Token2049. Super excited to be speaking with OpenLedger and Ram. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So for those who don't know, he is a co-contributor, and we're going to find out just what that means and what OpenLedger is building today. So before we get into it, can you tell us how you got into crypto and what brought you to OpenLedger?
It's a very interesting story. I got into crypto quite a while back in 2017. Someone paid me in Bitcoin. I thought
Cool.
it was an interesting, tech behind it. So why didn't we build a product or an R&D company? So that's how we started. Like this was back in 2017. We grew considerably well over the next 4 to 5 years. About 200 employees. We at a peak we did about $30+ million of ARR. We worked with Walmart, GSK, Viacom, Sony, all these brands, helped them migrate to Web3. And it was massive, right? Because everyone wanted to get into Web3 in 2021. So we caught the wave at the right time. So we had an opportunity to work with all of these people. It taught us a lot about crypto and overall blockchain as an ecosystem. But what we kind of found out is that data has never been seen very seriously in crypto, right? Because already like users and transactions are on chain, people don't want to put more data on chain. So that kind of led us to think about how we can optimize data. And we also started seeing AI being picked up as well. Along with blockchain R&D services, we used to do some ML services as well. So we had that experience and we saw that crypto AI was kind of like merging together. That's what led us to like figure out how we can build a product where data can be leveraged using on-chain transactions and on-chain contributions, and how we can use that to build like better models, right? And that's how OpenLedger was like seeded. It was back in 2023 end. It was more of an internal R&D work to be doing. We figured out a paper called Data Inf, which showcases how data is influencing a model's output and how we can use that to attribute to the data providers. So that's basically the essence of how I got into the industry and how we built the ecosystem and how OpenLedger came about as well.
And why do you call yourself a co-contributor?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So we want to make sure that the ecosystem thrives on its own after a point of time. We are contributors to OpenLedger as a network. So we've been the ones who actually seeded this idea along with other contributors. So we wanted to make sure that the outside world also sees that way. We are not the product. The product is the ecosystem, is the layer 2 that is there, and we want everyone to contribute to that. So that's why we call ourselves to be the co-contributor.
What do you think is maybe the biggest misconception or thing that people who are like Walmart or something, when they came to you, that they may have and you had to maybe explain to them about crypto? Because I gotta tell you, most people do not have the opportunity to speak with companies of that size about crypto.
Yeah. So when Walmart initially came about, this was back in 2021, they were exploring crypto because it was a buzzword back then, right? They were trying to figure out like what can we do around this. So we had to like work with them to figure out what is the best use case in their entire ecosystem, entire stack, where crypto can be useful, right? So that's where we started initially providing them with an option to tokenize coupons. So we enabled them to tokenize almost close to $1 billion worth of coupons.
Oh,
right?
wow.
This was massive back then. This was Walmart's India subsidiary called Flipkart that we worked with. And this is quite big. And then like now we're working with them again to build like a model which can enable people to like contribute data, like the users who actually transact and buy products in Walmart's India company. They can go ahead and use their transactional data to contribute, and we're going to use that to like build models, right? It's personal information of the user, but it's collected with his consent. And what it's going to enable is a model that can better determine products for these users, right? If you're going to go search for, I want to buy, clothing, I'm going to travel to US in February. Let's say I'm going to Denver on February. Like, what do I need to buy? So it's going to give you the stuff that you need, right? You can't do that in the current e-commerce experience. So we want to change that. So it's very similar to how Rufus is providing services for Amazon. Walmart wants to do something similar. So we are experimenting and discussing that.
How much do you think that this adoption of mainstream companies is going to help bring Web3 adoption to the masses? And how much of a part do you think OpenLedger will play in that?
So we want to focus more on the crypto AI side. Web3 as a whole, I believe a lot of people are working on like RWA. I'm very sure that is going to be the most important aspect in the next coming years. It was security tokens back then, but now it's RWA. On the other side, I think crypto AI is a very good convergence. I think if you take a look at it, right, there's a lot of projects which did recently well about last 1 to 2 years, like Aether, Ionet, and all these kind of guys, they brought in compute. They brought in abundance of compute that led smaller companies to use that to bootstrap and build like models or experiment with models, right? Very similarly, we want to help in terms of the data, like how we can bootstrap data, how we can enable people to build better models with better data, right? That's what OpenLedger wants to contribute. So I believe there are various parts of the stack where Web3 can add value to AI and AI can add value to Web3 as well. And we want to be in the stack of data and model, and that's what we've been building over the last 1 year.
How important do you think it is to build it open software, and how much do you think it's contributed to the success of the platform?
So if you take a look at most of the models today, right, like out of the major models, Llama, Mistral, DeepSeek, all of these are open source models. I think that's what enables innovation. If you take a look at it, most of the apps today start to use these open source. There are so many AI apps that have been built, and they're experimenting around image generation or content creation and stuff like that. They could do that because these models are open source and they can play around with that. We are very grateful for that because that's what makes projects use OpenLedger to fine-tune these open source product models and enable better models to be built out of that, right? I think open source is the essence of any kind of innovation, but you should also figure out monetization as well, because one of the reasons why open source didn't really pick up about 20 years back when the internet happened is because there was no monetization.
Linux.
Linux, yeah. We don't want that to happen for AI,
Yeah.
right? We want to bring in monetization. And that's one of the things that OpenLedger really believes in. Open source is great, but it has to be monetized. If someone is going to contribute data to building a better open source model, a fine-tuned version of a Llama model, then they have to get rewarded for that. That's our core thesis, and that's what we work on.
And how do you reward them?
So, going back to the paper that we worked on called Data Inf. So, what it does is basically every time a model infers, like when you go ahead, use an API or a user, you ask a query to a model and there's an inference. On every inference, we figure out which data caused that inference to happen, right? We're one of the first guys to do that. We could do that on the fine-tune layer. So every time a data is contributed to a model and a model is fine-tuned, post-trained and built out, and this model is accessed by agents or users, on that inference, on that access, every time there's an output, we figure out which data that is contributed by these data contributors had the biggest impact over there.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so but let's say 100 people contributed to a model, and out of that, in an inference, about 5 of them had the biggest impact. We want to make sure they're attributed accordingly, and the reward, the earnings that the model makes is rewarded back to the data contributor. So,
kind of going into the future of what you guys are building here in Dubai, what made the team want to come to Token2049 this year? And what have you kind of been looking for here?
So we've been traveling almost across the globe in the last 3 to 4 months. We usually based out of SF. Dubai is, I think it's a good place for the entire world to come to, right? I think Dubai Token2049 is also a great event. We've been meeting a lot of partners here. A lot of people are building on us. It was a better place to come and meet everyone. And it's been just travel over the last 2 to 3 months for us. We're just traveling to places across the globe to figure out who can build on us, what kind of data sets we can collect, what kind of models are actually interested in various parts of the world. So that's been the overall discovery. We have like 10 projects building on us right now. There's an ex-Google DeepMind team which is building on us. There's a team which has been working in DeFi who's building a DeFi model. There's a team which has been in the Ethereum ecosystem who's building like a Solidity model. So these are like exciting models that are being built, and we've met all of them while we travel or in conferences, or some of them have reached out to us, right? So we're quite excited about what's happening.
That's absolutely amazing. Do you think in your sphere of what you're building, would you say that you were kind of a first mover? And since then, how has the landscape changed from the time that you began this journey to now in terms of competition?
Yeah, in terms of like back in 2017, we were the first movers because we started as a blockchain R&D company. But what we're doing with OpenLedger right now is more on the product side because we are one of the core contributors, right? A lot of things have changed in crypto, right? Crypto initially started but no one really cared about it. And in 2021,
thought it was a scam.
Everyone's saying a scam, and most of the ICOs were a scam. Like not many people actually did well. Some of them which did well is Solana and like Binance and all these guys who came out really well. But most of them was not good. But in 2021, it's absolutely a different scenario. Everyone loved crypto. Everyone wanted to experiment in crypto. But again, due to some bad actors, that went down again. Now I feel there is a strong momentum coming back, and it's very organic. 2021 was too rushed. And I believe now it's a slow adoption, but like very good, strong adoption, with also the regulations being favorable as well. So it's definitely a better time to build. If you're in the US, it's definitely a better time to build as well. So, and crypto AI is also a very good place to build because AI is a very highly fast transitioning like technology, and crypto brings fairness to AI. And crypto brings fairness to any technology that's evolving. I think every tech that is growing, that's emerging very fast, needs fairness as well. So crypto AI is also a very good intersection to work on.
Do you think right now there's a lot of projects who are just putting the name AI into their name to try to get more attention?
Really depends upon what kind of project it is, whether it needs it or not. I've just certainly seen certain protocols which were dead. Just coming back again saying that they're working on AI. So, it happens in every other industry. We can't do anything about it. There's no tech without AI now because it's going to be like internet. But it also matters that you really need it. Wherever it's needed, I think has to be brought in. That's also very similar for decentralization as well. Decentralization should be used for the place where it's needed. Shouldn't it just be there because someone wants to build a crypto company or something like that. So wherever there is an essential need for the tech, it has to be used. Same goes with AI as well.
Very cool. If you look at kind of maybe the landscape of crypto today and where you guys are positioned, where would you say that the future looks like for OpenLedger? Like, what do the next couple of years look like that you would be really happy if you're like, we achieve these things in the next 3 years?
Yeah, so if you take a look at Hugging Face as a platform, right? They have close to about maybe around 1,000 plus models that are being built.
Where are most of the developers from or coming from? Is it global?
For us or For us, it's like across the globe.
That's awesome.
We have people from US, we have people from Asia, we have people from Southeast Asia who are building on us.
That's so cool to think about, right?
Yeah. So, and where I was actually going to, like, if you take a look at Hugging Face, they have like 1,000 models today being deployed almost every other month. And none of these models are monetized well, right? It kind of depreciates its value after a point of time because there's no one adding more value to it. The model is not being upgraded. It just diminishes in its value. So one of the reasons why is because what we spoke about. Open source is great, but monetization is very essential, right? So we want to be the future of what Hugging Face couldn't be, right? We want to enable better people to contribute data and get rewarded for that. Like how YouTube happened. Before pre-monetization, YouTube had very bad content. The content was not so useful. But post-monetization, you had like great content being contributed. You had content contributors as an ecosystem that is built. Businesses came forward and contributed as well, right? We want to do that for AI. We want to enable data contributors to come forward. It could be a skilled person or a common man or an enterprise that can contribute data and can be used for AI, and they can get rewarded for that. That's what we would see as the future of OpenLedger.
When you talk about kind of those contributions being made, you talk about industry, you talk about individuals. Where is most of it coming from? Is it more of like individuals, or would you say it's more?
It's varied. It depends on the model that's being created. Okay. So we let the model builders decide what kind of data sets they want to collect. For example, if someone is building a solidity model on us, they would need code and code descriptions and documentations, right? Which can be contributed by developers across the globe. There could be developers who know solidity very well who can contribute. Someone who is building a model, let's say for mental health data, again, a common man could contribute about how his sleep was, what he's feeling about it today. So it's very varied. It depends on the model that's being created.
What would you say the biggest change has been from when you started the company to now in terms of the perception of AI and crypto and the actual adoption?
I think when we initially started, crypto AI was just explored. Again, and the true essence of any innovation is that a lot of experiments is done initially, and then people settle on certain things that they believe is going to be a long term. I think agents was also very experimental. People are just building ChatGPT wrappers. I think that is kind of settled down now. People are looking more stronger infrastructure and like better agents. I believe that's where the market is going on to. We also want to have better agents and apps to be built because they need models which are good and useful. They don't just need OpenAI's model. So I think that's where the market is getting in. People are getting into much more serious use cases of AI.
And what would you tell yourself if you could talk to yourself from 2017 right now?
It has to be told for everyone. Do not worry about the ups and downs of the market, how it moves. The market is going to be volatile. Keep building, keep doing what you're doing. Things will turn out better. So
awesome. And for your experience within Token, kind of, would you recommend that people come to Token? Have you had a good time at this event?
I think it's a great spot to be in. Dubai, even though it's hot, it's a good place for people to like travel into and meet almost people from across the globe, right? We have people who are traveling from US, we have people who are traveling from Asia, from China. So I think it's definitely a good place to meet your partners, to meet other builders. Also, just get to know the ecosystem. I think it's a great place to be. There's a lot of crowd and a lot of interesting stuff that's happening.
And are you guys doing any side events, or have you done any talks at this?
We've been doing talks.
Yeah.
We've been very actively talking.
What have you been talking about?
OpenLedger.
Yeah, of course. Anyone
So
that really
generally
stood out?
more on AI and how the future of AI is going to be and how specialized models matter. I've been giving keynotes out, and so yeah, it's been quite interesting.
Do you like giving keynotes?
Yeah, of course. We
killing
love to showcase what we're doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for the fantastic interview. Everyone who's watching, please make sure to follow OpenLedger.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a lot more alpha from the man sitting right next to me.
Thank you. Thanks for
AI.
listening. And it was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up?
But it's not something Genzio is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a house.
No, we do not understand. That we do not understand.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Rebecca's Genzio Media House.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today.